Hello, folks. I'm Joe Wesley, and thank you for joining us today. Us will be myself and along with Devon Harris. This is our first podcast, so there may be some glitches. This is not pre recorded, it is live for the moment. Basically, what we're doing here is I firmly believe, along with Devon and some other people, we're working on a concept that we really underappreciate our athletes, our Olympic level athletes. And what I mean by that is in some countries, the country will take the infant from mom almost from day one of birth, put them in an institution, feed them, clothe them, fix them, whatever they need to have for their lifestyle. So all they can do, all they need to do is concentrate on playing their game for the Olympics. We don't quite have that in our country. Not a complaint. The expectation is you pull your own weight and you make your own path, and you have to accommodate, besides the desire to train, to buy equipment, to travel, for your coaches, for your illnesses, for your accidents, for your medical needs. You make, besides from your personal criteria, if you have a family, if you have to hold a job to pay all the bills, you have to do it all on your own. And I think, quite frankly, with the additional burden, the additional challenges, it makes our people better in terms of having to deal with crap, for lack of a better way to say it. So what I'm saying is that these young men and women, maybe older if you do curling, represent what we call the American Way dream, or the American Way challenge, meeting that. That, for example, COVID in particular really caused a lot of people to struggle with these uncertainties, with these unknowns, with these unexpected changes in life. Totally understandable. However, that being said, we talk about that these athletes, American based, live a COVID-19 life every day of their lives. There's always uncertainty. As for example, last year, for the Summer Olympics, up until 45 days before the event, there was still some uncertainty publicly expressed. Excuse me. The gentleman that is connecting with me is not quite here. I'm going to have to disengage for the moment, folks. Hang on, please. Sorry for the glitch there, folks. We're having some technical issues. I was saying earlier that first, thank you for joining us. That this is our first podcast format, so there will be glitches as things do happen. This is a live program and not a rehearsed, pre recorded program. But what I was saying before I got cut off, in a slight review, that our Olympic level athletes, I say Olympic level, not everybody meets the trial requirements. Not everybody gets to be on the podium. Excuse me. But for people who are dedicated, who are focused for moving in that direction, there's a lot of uncertainty. And I was just saying before the technical break that we had that even during the period of Summer Olympics last year, when there was still doubt between the president of the country, Japan, and the IOC, whether there would be Olympic history or not happening because of COVID, that athletes didn't know this. And as a result, hi, Devon, how are you doing?
I am good. Your email ended up in the junk file.
It happens.
I've been doing that of late. I don't know why.
Okay, I was just saying, I can, while you're working on that, I can I phase you out again. Are you okay with your background as is?
Yeah. I was interviewing someone. So will this work for you?
Yeah, it works for me fine. Yes, I was telling people we don't rehearse this. This is our first presentation of this type, so they're going to be raw edges, and we've lived that. I was also sharing with them some background of our purpose that we really underutilize our athletes, Olympic level types, because every day they have to live a uncertainty of where they want to go and how to get there. And I think you told me that despite not knowing last year whether we were going to have a Summer Olympics or not, up to several weeks before, that before that there were more trial records set than in the history of the program, if I heard you correctly on that. So, having talked about that, we'll be talking more about our project coming up. But right now, my fascination is with this guy, Devon. And for those who do know him, he is on the original bobsledding team that happened eons back, not too far back. And then the next two seasons coming out, he was the captain of the team. And many people, as Devon explains to me, and it was kind of my background also, I just assumed that these people standing on the podium were either born wealthy, or they have just good genetic background, or they were handpicked by some person that says, you're going to be the next one up on the podium in another 6 to 9 years. And Devon says that's not quite the case. And we were talking about how he got started. And so you're from Jamaica, yes?
Last time I checked, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. In fact, my wife happens to be Jamaican. She loves the color green, and it's a green and brown flag.
Marking my green screen today, baby.
Fair enough. So the guy just can't stop marketing himself. He's proud of where he's coming from. He's proud of where he's going, and I have to give him credit for that. Having said that, I poked at Devon. We do choose topics. We don't rehearse this, but I poked at Devon, and I said, Devon, I'm going to make an assumption that you didn't grow up saying from day 3 years of age, I want to be an Olympian. So could you share a little bit about your past, perhaps, and maybe some struggles that you had, and then despite all of that, or because all of that, kind of where you are now?
Yeah. So, let me go back to my days in Olympic Gardens. I grew up in a place actually called Olympic Gardens. So
I didn't know that. Okay.
one could infer that I was born to be an Olympian, right? And I know that the name sounds like almost like a fairy tale, idyllic place, but it's actually a really tough, gritty, violent ghetto environment, impoverished, and that's kind of the environment I grew up in. But I loved playing. I loved school, and school was one of those places where I could play all the time. But I also got, I was very competitive, and so I was.
I'm going to ask you a question if I can interrupt.
Mhm.
That where I grew up in Chicago, some people love school because it was an escape from the world around them. It was kind of a safe haven. I don't know if that was your past or not. I have no flavor of that. So was school for you an opportunity to grow into, or in part to avoid? I'm not making assumptions. I'm just
Yeah,
curious about how that worked.
I think in the beginning, in elementary school, it was definitely a place to grow into.
Mm-hmm.
I got validation there. I worked hard. I got praised. I
Mm-hmm.
discovered sports, and the thing I loved about sports when I got on the soccer field was that, hey, whatever was happening on the soccer field, whether whoever your parents were, how much money you had, did not matter. All that
Mm.
mattered was what you brought to the
Okay.
game, like your heart, your courage, and your skill, yes. But when you get tired and the skill isn't showing, who has a heart to go to?
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time I got to high school, man, yes, school was absolutely that safe haven.
Okay.
And I often say from ninth grade when I started training seriously for track until the 13th grade, we have a slightly different system in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I was practically in school 6 days a week. There was
Okay.
always something to do on a Saturday, and it was positive, and it kept me out of the old neighborhood.
What is it about sports that you liked? Excuse me, folks. I'm not a sports guy. I'm the one in the stadium saying, "Hey, right on! I got your back. That's my team. That's
Yeah.
my team." So I have to ask a guy who does it. What is it about it that you really like being a part of it?
Like I said, I was competitive. Winning is fun. I
Mm-hmm.
like winning. But more than that, though, and of course, all the benefits. And I don't know that necessarily I was thinking about. Oh, this is good for your body. You're exercising and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All great.
Right.
Um, no, what I loved most was the fact that, like I said earlier, what you take to the game, what you take to the race, is in my mind your heart.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to train hard, you're going to work hard, you're going to have some skills, but in the end, man, it's man against man, mano a mano.
Okay.
Who has a bigger heart? Who wants it more? Who has that bigger desire? And I love that's pure, and I absolutely love that.
Now, I have to admit, Devon and I've had a relationship on a mutual project for almost 2 years now when I think about it. So I've learned a little bit about him. He's really presenting a nice demeanor of style, but he tells me in private, he's this thing about it's good to win and to be competitive and whatnot. I think you told me you just hate losing. Isn't that kind of what you told me before?
Well, if I love to win, it means that I hate losing.
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's no kind of sound quite the
No,
same. In fact, hate losing might be a more stimulator or motivator than I love to win syndrome.
well, I tell you this, my first love was soccer, and
Okay.
I switched to track for a number of reasons. But one was I hated the idea of playing my heart out, and then
Mm-hmm.
one person on the team, we lose because somebody
Uh,
just didn't play hard.
I get
And
that.
so I ran track and like, or if I lose, guess what? It's my
Hmm.
fault. It's nobody else's fault. I can live with that. I hated the
Okay.
idea of, losing because somebody didn't play hard.
One of the interesting aspects I find consistent in top level athletes is taking ownership of their role. And I think you just made a mention of that,
Mhm.
that it's your responsibility. You can't control other people. I get team sports and the value of it. You have a good team that works well, but I can understand why you chose to run track because it's on you. Now, some people might say, well, I'm going to slough. If it's a bad day, it wasn't my fault, it was the other player's fault. But you chose not to go that way with it, that you took ownership of your role and what you're trying to accomplish. If I'm hearing it
Yeah,
correctly.
absolutely. They say if it's to be, it's up to me. And it's not
Hmm.
that I don't think that someone will make a mistake. It's different from not playing hard. And right now, as I'm saying that, I have this image of my mind
Hmm.
of a soccer game I played in elementary school,
Right.
and I passed the ball to this dude, and all he did was jog behind the other guy.
Mm.
Didn't make a real effort, and the guy scored, and we lost the game. It was
Mm.
only a pickup game, but that has stayed with me. Like,
Okay.
you have to try. You have to play hard,
Hmm.
and it's the same in life, right? You have to try. You have to play hard in life as well. And I think if we take this idea of um, actually hating to lose more than we love to win,
Hmm.
not to ridiculous extremes, I think it will serve us well in life.
I hear that, and then certainly the positive approach to it. That if I'm hearing you correctly, that you take yourself seriously enough, important enough, that if you're going to make the effort, make it your best effort. Is that kind of what you're saying?
What's what? Well, what would be the point of not
If you're
doing
going to
that?
bother making an effort,
Yeah,
why do it
don't
half
you get
blip?
it, right? Yeah, if you're gonna, uh, you know, um, we have a saying. Well, I'm sure it's here in school in America as well. But anything that is
Hmm.
worth doing well.
Yes. Hmm.
So why? I mean, when you half-ass something, when you put the efforts are half-hearted, you're not going to get great results. You can't expect to get great results. I
Hmm.
don't really see the point in it.
Right. I get that. And the next talk we'll talk about, there's some redundancy for you that people were asking, I'm sure, who've not heard you speak. How did you migrate from, if I understand correctly, first soccer and then track and field? And they say TV, for example, when they want you to watch the next program and they cut off always with the unanswered question.
Teaser, baby, the teaser.
There you go, the teaser. See, this guy knows that stuff. So, at some point, you made a transition from track and field to bobsledding. Yes, was there a
Yeah,
quantum?
bobsledding involves running.
I hear that. I hear that. But I'm sure people are asking, how did that at all pop up? And one of the things you shared with me is that you weren't the fast in your country. You weren't necessarily the fastest runner out there.
Uh, I say all the time that speed is relative. I tell you a true story, and this was, ooh, forgive me if I mix it up. I think it was a 2012 Olympics. The
Right.
men's 100 meter, there were, I think, six Jamaicans, five or six Jamaicans in the race. Three competing for Jamaica
Mm-hmm.
and two for other countries.
Right.
Including this one dude who was competing for, I want to say, Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and people ask him, so why aren't you competing for Jamaica, man? Here you are. And the guy said, listen, man, my fastest 100 meter time is 10.03.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who finished last at the Jamaican trial ran 10.02.
Well, that's
I
funny.
wouldn't even have made the Jamaican finals.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am in the Olympic semifinal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's relative, man. You could be fast somewhere else, but just not in Jamaica.
Well,
And I'm one of those guys.
I hear that. Well, it tells me you're thinking. It tells me you're an opportunist. It tells me you'll take chances where you feel it has a viable future.
Mhm.
So we won't go back past our time. For those who did take the time to join us today, thank you very much. To remind you that we do a repeat on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Please sign in. Please share comments. Please ask questions. This will be a regular event and at 3 o'clock. And we're looking forward to your involvement. I want to thank you, Devon, for being a part of this.
All the time, man. Just say the word.
Okay. Take care, folks. We'll be back. And please sign in, subscribe, and share.